Allie.
And Jesse, and this is Design for Adventure.
We're a married couple figuring out family travel, Disney trips, running races, parenting,
And how to make adventures actually work in real life.
Yes, we travel with our kids.
And still manage to have a good time.
And if you love making memories and want an adventure that fits real life, you're in the right place. All right, welcome back, everyone. Just me? So that means we are talking Disney again. I recently ran the RunDisney Princess Half Marathon back in February. So I thought I would do a little weekend recap. So anyone out there who is thinking about maybe signing up this coming year or future years, this would be some good information to maybe to have. Like I said, I ran the last race, so I ran only the half. A friend of mine did the 10K though. I went down this trip with my mom, my two best friends, and I brought my kids. My two other friends don't have kids, and my mom brought her kid, I guess me. But it was a really fun girls' weekend plus my kids. This is my 5th Princess weekend. I started them back in 2011, and I have done 5 of the weekends since then. I just thought I would give you a little bit of recap. Start with registration. Let me tell you, I was not prepared for that registration disaster that happened. Registration was in June. 2 of us got in, but 2 of us did not. So that was fun because we had already booked our hotel room. We were doing a 2-bedroom suite at the Contemporary, and we rented DVC points. It was the cheapest economic way, actually, to do it for us, but to usually do DVC, you have to book 11 months out. So we'd already booked this. Everyone had paid. We were going whether we registered or not, basically, was the mentality. 2 of us got in for the half, 2 of us did not. That meant charity bibs for the half and 10K. So my 2 friends had to do the charity bibs. They were able to find charities for the half and bib, and it sucked because they had to raise the money, but I think they did a fine job doing it and getting the donations for everything on time. So I'm really proud of them for actually doing it. I would be a little nervous having to raise all that money for the half and the 10K, but they did it, and they had a good time, and they were there. Themes this year, I guess I would say I didn't pay attention to them a lot, and I don't know why, because in the past I have, but I know Merida was a 5K, and I'm kind of sad about that because she is one of my favorites, but I'm not going to pay to do a 5K at Disney. It's just too much money for a 5K. And then it was Moana for the 10K, which again, love Moana. And then it was Rapunzel for the half, and then it was Belle was the 2-course challenge. Again, didn't pay too much. We didn't dress to the theme this year. We just kind of did our own thing, and I'm always fine doing that. Thousands of people dressed as Rapunzel, so it was kind of nice not being one of those thousands and doing our own thing. The Expo, I did touch on the Expo Experience this year with my kids in one of my previous episodes on Run Disney with Kids, but I didn't really get to experience the way I normally do. I tried to get into the virtual queue the first day we were at Animal Kingdom, and I hit that button at 10 o'clock, and it was already gone before we didn't get in. We changed plans. We didn't go to the Expo the first day. I'm actually quite glad we did not, because that would have been a nightmare with my kids. And without 2 extra adults to help out, my friends weren't there yet. So we did wait till Friday to go, which was fine. I'm not big into having to get like the merch the first day, but my mom did want to look at the Brooks shoes. That was kind of why we were trying to do it, but it was fine. The Expo is the Expo. They haven't changed it in a few years. It's been this way since, I think after COVID, they have it split into the 3 buildings. So you walk all the way back to the field house. You have to walk all the way around the building to get down to get your bib. I do not understand that. Don't know why after the first morning rush, they make us do that. It's insane. So much walking. Unnecessarily. If anyone at Run Disney ever hears me say this, like, why? Just let us go down the stairs and make us go back the other stairs. Don't get it. There's so much room in there now that you've split it apart from the other areas. Anyways, I digress. You go into the field house. I think there's one person in front of me. I went and got my bib. Easy peasy. There wasn't a lot of people in that section. My thought process, because there weren't a lot of people getting bibs, the Expo must not be as busy either. Oh no, was I wrong. We went to the actual Expo spot where you pick up your shirts. and they have all the vendors and everything, and it was insane in there. It was so busy. And maybe it's the same as it's always been because I had my kids with me. I was hyper aware of how busy it was. And I normally love the expo, and I'm okay with it being busy, but I wasn't able to look around. I really wanted some new socks. I just said, nope, I'm getting out of here as quick as possible. My friend wanted a Pandora charm, so we stopped at the booth for that to get it. It wasn't too long. My kids were fine for about like 5 minutes. And then I was like, let's get the heck out of Dodge. I think my mom stayed in there to buy a few things. I think I grabbed a honey stinger on my way out at one of the booths. And I was like, yeah, let's leave. We didn't even go into the merchandise area, which is kind of sad, but my daughter had skipped her nap. I was just trying to get back. Didn't get to see the merchandise, but knowing how Princess Weekends usually go, that stuff is sold out within the first hour anyways, anything that's good. So the stuff that's left is the more generic stuff, which I like. I do have a lot of the generic RunDisney, which I enjoy because it doesn't have a specific date. It's just running clothes. But it still is nice to look around and see if anything would have caught my eye. And I will say, I do think the RunDisney stuff, the quality's just gone downhill. I know they've brought back a little bit better shirts than they had a few years ago, but bring back the champion shirts, the thick ones, the ones that don't fall apart and they don't, the lettering doesn't come off after you wash it one time, or they snag immediately on your watch band. I can't stand that. It's really annoying. If you're paying a lot of money, I think you should be getting a good quality shirt. That's my one little rant right there. All right, so like I said, I did the half. My friend did the 10K. We were staying at the Contemporary. You had to take the bus for the Contemporary, but I don't think she had any problems. It's her first time doing the 10K, so she navigated it fine. She said she didn't have an issue. She wasn't a fan of all the walking and then standing around, and then you try and warm up, and then you have to stand in the corral for an hour to get started, and then she cooled down so she wasn't warmed up, and she wasn't a fan of that. And I 100% agree. I wish there was a better way for people to be able to warm up within their corral and not lose their spot. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that other than maybe you stay at the back of the corral. So if you're in corral A or B, that probably isn't a big issue. Maybe you can have that ability to warm up. And I did see a few people in A warming up in that area, but that's something I do agree with, that I wish there was a better way to be able to warm up. We were at the Contemporary, so we got to take the monorail for the half. Oh, so easy. We didn't show up until 3:30. I think a monorail left as we walked up, and then a new one was right behind it, and just sat down. We transferred at the TTC, went to Epcot, straight off. We'd already done security to get on the monorail, so we didn't have to go through security the buses do. It's actually it was so less stressful than being on a bus, because you're always worried your bus driver's going to take a wrong turn or the traffic's really bad, because it's happened. I've been in bad traffic before a race before, and it delayed us we sat on that bus for an hour. But there is that fear with the bus that it can break down, get delayed, take a wrong turn. So the monorail was really nice for that. So there is a positive of staying on the monorail for the Princess Weekend if the bus is just going to give you anxiety. I have started in all different corrals over the 15 years I've done RunDisney. So I've been in A, I've been in E, anyone in between based on proof of time over the years. This year I do have a good proof of time right now. I ran a really good race last year, so that got me into corral A. My friend was in corral B, so I started with her instead because we weren't running this for time. If I was running it for time, I would have started in A. But we were really just running it to just spend time together, have fun, running through Disney. Why not? But that is important. If you want to get in one of those better corrals, you do need a proof of time. So you do need to train for that. I will say, I think Disney has found the formula, the rhythm that they're going to be using for the future. I cannot tell you how many times those corrals have changed over the years. They had a time when it went all the way to M or N. So instead of doing waves within a corral, they had just separate corrals. That year, that was crazy. They had starts, starting groups instead. They call them S1, S2, if anyone remembers that year. So they have changed their formula over the years. The new Club RunDisney kind of screwed everyone over because they reduced the proof of time from 2 hours and 45 minutes down to 2 hours and 15 minutes, I think now. So they could put Club RunDisney in there, and I will never say anything nice about Club RunDisney. That kind of really hurt some of the slower runners, but just hurt how they could gauge more time in there to like really space out people. Like I said, we started in Corral B. Our goal was just to run at least the first 3 miles, so to make it to Magic Kingdom before we were going to stop for any pictures. And we were keeping a pretty good pace. So I'll say we were about like a 10:50 pace. I was dealing with plantar fasciitis in both feet. I did not want to re-injure myself or make it worse because I was trying to heal it before the trip and knew I was still struggling with it. My friend had a hip problem, so she was running. Neither one of us, like, our training was not great. I never ran 10 miles. I think my longest was 8 or 9, so which I don't like. But we made it to the first 3 miles without stopping or walking, which was our goal. And then once we hit the 3 miles, it was right outside Magic Kingdom, we started stopping for the pictures we wanted, the characters we wanted, like Tinkerbell. She was there, and I was so excited. She had like no line. It was great. But I think that strategy of going and running the first few miles, yes, you may skip some characters. So we skipped Mulan, which I would have loved to stop for her, but she was like the first character. And that line was insane. By doing that, though, skipping those longer lines, by the time we actually started stopping, the lines were actually shorter for us. Now, I can't speak for people in like later corrals, but for those first earlier corrals, if you skip those first big lines that would set you back, they were so short. Every line had 3 or 4 people in them, and then even the longer ones, they moved so quickly with the photo pass because you would just do the photo pass and it was boom, boom, boom. It was really nice. You are in those lines too. Pay attention. If someone is done, you start moving. Like the picture has been taken, you moving. So, it's a constant movement. You don't pause and wait for them to acknowledge you to move forward. Just go. We all know what's happening. So that was good. So the lines weren't long by doing that because I think it helped move us forward. Because I have done it where I've started stopping at the beginning and the lines would just get long and it really delayed you. So I think that was a good strategy to have, and one I'll have probably in the future is to wait until we go. Yes, you may miss a character, but it does help, so you're not standing in line for 20 minutes for someone if you can avoid it. Because that's how you get injured, when you cool down for that long and then you start running again. That's when you pull a muscle. And that's the other thing too with those photos. We had Photo Pass, so we had we bought the package. Highly recommend if you're doing the race, because not only do you get all of your race photos and all the character photos and any photo that a Photo Pass first taken, it's also the ones in the park for your entire trip. So you can add more people onto it. So you can, if you have a group of people, you can put them all on. So everyone in our group was together. So all their pictures showed up once I got all our bibs linked onto the Photo Pass. Highly recommend it, especially if you're doing multiple races. The money's worth it. I think it's $200 if you buy it before you go on your trip. And then if you're in the military, you can actually get it for $98. Highly recommend. My other goal was to make it to Magic Kingdom before the sun came up. I think Magic Kingdom at night, or when it's still dark with the lights and the castle lit up, is just absolutely beautiful. And that's what we did. It was gorgeous. And I love running towards the castle when it has that overlay of that like purpley overlay and pink on it. I just think it looks so pretty. And it's just something magical about running down Main Street and it's all lit up with its white lights. I really do like that. There was a lot of characters. I don't remember having this many characters on a half marathon course in the past, so I think RunDisney's actually upped their game on that. I read in another post that it was 19 characters. Someone counted 19. I would believe that. It seems like a high number, but that was a lot of characters. There was one every mile, sometimes 2. They were all over the parks. They were all over Magic Kingdom. It was great. I really enjoyed it. They're all through the parking lot of Magic Kingdom too. So when you're running through the transportation and ticket center parking lot, usually it's really boring, like really boring. And they had characters after characters. You could see the next character at the other character stuck. So that was really well done. I hope they keep that and keep that many characters. Yeah, there was no shortage. There would be like, oh, do you want to stop again? We just stopped. But it was like, yeah, why not? It's, a character we don't see often. Like Marie was out. So excited for that. So I was really bummed that Cinderella was on the balcony, though, the castle. She wasn't down below to take a picture. So me and my friend dressed up as the evil stepsisters or the wicked stepsisters from Cinderella. And my mom dressed up as Lady Tremaine. So it was really fun. And we were so bummed that she was on the balcony. So we took a picture and we waved and we, yelled some things up to the prince. it was fun and they waved and acknowledged us and laughed. But it was sad. And the fairy godmother was up there too. So I was hoping she'd be down below. But I can see how she would have a very long line at the princess. Same with Cinderella. Sometimes they try and keep those really popular characters up away for that reason, because those lines could get insane. I was a little bummed about that. And same with Mickey and Minnie. They were on like a parade float. They weren't down for us to take pictures with either, unless you took a selfie. But it is what it is. I'm so glad I got to see them wave. So all in all, we had a really good race. Me and my friend did good. I don't think she hurt too bad. I know the last 2 miles were rough on her. My feet, I could start feeling them at mile 9. And I was like, oh yeah, there it is. So we slowed down a little bit at the end because of that. And it was starting to get warmer too, because the sun had come up. It was a good race. We did a good time. Not my fastest for the princess, but I wasn't expecting it to be, just because I wasn't racing this one. And we did stop for quite a few pictures. We had a good jumping picture too in front of the castle. So always a classic. So after the race, if you don't know, they have the meeting area. It's basically the parking lot. You finish, you walk through the chutes, you get your medal. They keep them in baggies so they don't break as much, because before they've had issues of them breaking, scratching, chipping. So they keep them in the baggies for that reason. And then you walk through the food tents, you grab your box, get your fake cheese, grab a bottle of Gatorade water, and then you can go pick up your check bag. I don't know what they call it. You dropped before the race. And then you walk through those trucks out into the area where your friends and family can meet you. So the buses will be to your right side. And then if you want to walk towards the front entrance of Epcot and the monorail, that's going to be on your left. But if you go forward, where they have the grandstand and the big screen, they have the big tent with merchandise. They actually still have more characters out there that you can take pictures with. So a lot of times they'll bring the characters that are themed for the actual race will be over there that you can take. Mickey and Minnie, Goofy, something like that. They change various, and they do a good job always constantly bringing them out. Especially when you run faster. So if you end pretty early, the lines can be pretty short. The one time I did run the half and I raced it, I had a good time. There was no one in those lines, so it was great. So even though I didn't stop for any pictures during the race, I was able to go and get pictures after the race with those characters. So my costume, which I enjoyed that part. So that is always an option if you want to race Run Disney event. I'm going to do it again, I think, in January for the marathon. I think I'm going to try and get a decent time. I'm running with a friend. I think we're going to try and race it, but with the main caveat that I have to get a picture in front of each icon. So I have to stop to get the picture at the castle and make sure I get Epcot, Tree of Life, and Tower of Terror. Yes, run the race. You can still get a few pictures with the characters after. You can even get pictures with them, I think, before the race starts. I think they do have them out, so you could take pictures there. So don't be afraid, or if you're a slower runner and you want to get pictures before the race starts, or even after, because you won't have the ability to stop for as many characters because the lines are just too long, or you're afraid to keep moving because of balloon ladies and the time that you need to keep. They do have those characters. And then the one thing I love to do after races is actually go into the park. For the half and the full, you can do that. Because usually the race is longer, so the parks are going to open closer to when you're going to be finished. The 10K and the 5K, I think you finish way too early. Just go back to your room. But what we do, especially after the princess, it's been tradition, we've done it almost every year now, is we always book breakfast for the earliest we can over at, oh gosh, I'm going to butcher the name, but it's Acre House. I'm saying it wrong. Acre House. Oh man. It's the breakfast with all the princesses in Epcot in Norway. We think it's fun because you get to take your pictures with all the princesses in your costumes. You have your race medal. You're usually not looking great because you just finished a half. Usually bring some baby wipes. Wipe yourself down so you don't smell too bad. But we like to do that. It's fun. Then we go back, shower, and then come back to the park. So we did that too this time. The kids loved it. We, as adults, didn't take pictures as much with the princesses because my kids were there. So that was kind of weird. So I might not do that again if my kids are coming, but definitely going to probably try and work something out for the marathon for me and my friend. But I do love Epcot for after races for the main reason it's not so ride intensive. Yes, you have Guardians, but all the other rides are more relaxing. Frozen is not a thrill ride. You're sitting on a boat. Remy's is okay. Remy's isn't my favorite. It's just, I could skip it and be fine. But you have Living with the Land and Soaring and Finding Nemo, so you can chill. and enjoy it. And then you can walk through World Showcase, which is much more. You can take your time. You can walk through, all the gift shops if you want. You can eat all the food and drink the beer. Drink or other drinks and margaritas if you want. So I really do like Epcot for after races, and that's what we did. We did Epcot. We went to the beer garden for dinner. Very much enjoyed that liter of beer for dinner time. It was good. And then also when you go into the parks, it's fun because you see everyone else with their race medals on. They're all saying good job and congratulations. The cast members are asking you questions. The characters will interact with you with the medals. It's really fun. So, and you get the random people who are there who have no idea this is even happening. I'm like, what's everyone have medals on and matching shirts for? And so it's always fun to explain to them what just happened in the half marathon. I do love going into the parks after the race. I've also done Magic Kingdom for Princess, which I do think is pretty popular too, just because it's the Princess weekend and the castle and people want to, do Magic Kingdom. Don't be afraid to go in the parks after the half marathon because it's probably better for your legs to walk around anyways. If you sit and rest, that's when your legs really get sore and tighten up and could cause more problems. So walking is highly recommended. Take it slow, take your breaks, but don't just sit in your room and take a nap. That's not the best thing to do for your legs. I'll close it up with some of my the issues that I have with Run Disney and some of the positives. I'll end on a happier note. Let's put it that way. Why do we walk so much at the expo? I don't get it. I don't get why they make us walk so much for the field house for the bibs. It's insane to me. I get why they've spread out the race merchandise and the vendors and the field house for the bibs. I get why they've spread it out in the 3 buildings. I just let us go in, they let us do it for the expo part. You go down one set of stairs and you come up the others. Why can't we do that for the bibs? Anyways, it really gets to me, apparently. The characters were really good this year. Like I said, there were 19. They used to have the princes all together, though, at one point, and you could take a picture, and it was all, 6 or 7 princes or male characters. I think Tarzan was in there. They didn't have that this year. The princes were with their princess, and I think that's fine. I don't know. I was kind of sad. I was like, I missed that. It missed that picture with all the guys around you, and you're in your, sweaty princess costume. So, I don't know. I missed it, but I am happy that I could get some of the princess, but because I skipped some of those early princesses on, I didn't get them. So, Mulan and Aurora were at the beginning, and there was another princess I can't remember. So it's kind of sad because I missed them, because I didn't want to stop that early, and the princes were usually, you could hit them twice. You could hit them on your way to Magic Kingdom and then on your way back. That's okay. I'm happy that we had so many characters, to be honest. And then I already mentioned that Cinderella was on the balcony. I didn't see Minnie at all. I think she switched out with Mickey, and we only had Mickey. Not a big deal, but again, they weren't down for pictures. You could take a selfie if you wanted. That was sad, though, because Cinderella is pretty popular for this race, especially with her castle. But it is what it is. I wish there was a way to warm up before the race. I talked about that, too. Corral A shuts down early. You can't go into Corral A anymore, 15 minutes before the race. So that really limits your ability to warm up right before. So if you are trying to run this for time and warm up your legs, especially if it's chillier, and I wore a long sleeve when we were standing in the corral, and I'm glad I had it because I was chilled. But it wasn't by any means cold, but I know in some of these races it can be cold. It can be pretty cold on the mornings. I wish there was a way that they didn't have to shut down the corrals that early. So if you did want to warm up and then you could just jump in at the end of the corral to start, you could do that, especially in your corral A and B where you have your faster runners who people might be trying to run it for time. I don't know if anyone noticed this who was at the weekend, but Epcot didn't open till 10 a.m. that day, and that was a little annoying. So we actually had to stand around for an hour before the park even opened. So we were done, and then we went over to the gates and we waited and waited. Finally, we got through security, and then we had to wait again. So they waited for the half marathon to actually finish, for the balloon ladies and the last runners to go before they let the early park entry people go into the park and go to their rides. And so I found that a little frustrating. Because in the past, they've opened the park at 9, as they normally do for Epcot. They just have a really cool way of where they kind of separate. They have the runners go one way, they bring us all into a section, and then they have the runners run around us, and then you walk through. And they do a really good job. I know they do that for the marathon. So I don't know why they didn't do it for this section, especially at the ends. Once you get past the balloon ladies, like the runners are stragglers at that point. So you could definitely be able to flow traffic in and out. So I don't know. It was a little annoying. I felt like we lost an hour that we could have been spending in the park, especially because we wanted to go do breakfast and then shower. I guess we could have just gone back and showered and then come into the park, but that's part of the fun. We have some great pictures over in France because we did Remy's right after breakfast of all of us in our costumes, and the photo pass, there was a line and she took some great pictures of my kids and then the rest of us in our costumes. We had they're great photos. And so I'm really happy we went in and got them. So it's kind of sad. I guess we could have gone to another park and done it, like Magic Kingdom. Anyways, I just was curious if that's something new they've done in the past, and I have never noticed, but I know that we have had earlier breakfasts, because I remember one time us rushing to get to our reservation after the half was over, because we were a little bit later, but not that late, so. But some of the positives, again, the characters were great. We had 19 characters. The lines are always crazy at the Princess. I think the way I managed it, and because I was able to start in the big corral, we were pretty good at avoiding those lines, and we did a really good job of maybe skipping some of the characters that had longer lines, or we were like okay with skipping. PhotoPass was great. I wish there were even more of them, not just in the parks, but in other parts of the race. Just, I don't know, it's fun when you see them. You're like jumping, you smile, it gives you a reason. Sometimes I wish they were on some of those overpasses to see everyone struggling. Man, those would be some good pictures. I am so glad that they're there, that they take the pictures. I don't have to have my own camera, pull out my phone. Highly, again, recommend buying PhotoPass for a Run Disney weekend. We had a great time. We had really good weather. I know it rained during the 10K at the beginning, waiting in the corrals, and then stopped. We stayed at the Contemporary and loved it, or Bay Lake Tower, because we were in a DVC room. I would love to stay there again for a Run Disney race if I can ever figure out how to afford it again, because that was fantastic. So yeah, I am signed up to do the marathon weekend in January. So I'm really excited to see how much stays the same and how much changes, because I feel like every weekend they're always changing something with Run Disney. But yeah, I really had a good time. And I know my mom wants to do it again next year because it's on her birthday, but I just don't think I can swing 2 Run Disney weekends back to back. They're expensive. They're a lot too. With that, thank you again for listening. Subscribe and follow. Again, that really helps us when you follow us and leave a comment. And then, yeah, send this to someone else who may be thinking about running the Run Disney weekend, especially the Princess next year, as signups will be coming out in June. So can't wait to see what themes they have. But yeah, thank you again for listening, and until next time. Thanks so much for listening to Design for Adventure.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you're following the show and leave a quick review. It really helps more families find us.
You can also find us on Instagram at Design for Adventure Pod and Facebook at Design for Adventure.
Until next time, don't be afraid to get out there and have an adventure.